and here, here, and here, and increased the real estate by adding this board and putting the horizontal loop on it there.
Yeah, that was you, right?
Yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
And I probably left a couple of people out, but I don't remember.
Somebody put the lights on it, I know.
That's right. There's a light there. There's a tower light.
Tower light, right?
With the
FAA approved.
Yep. And it's got a call sign, the W6SFM on top. And of course, John added the Cootie side swiper, they call those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you actually use that?
Sometimes. Not that one. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Braver man than me. I've never tried it. I've worked with a few people. One guy on the air said it took him a year to get it good enough so he could talk to anybody.
Oh, yeah.
It's tricky, yeah.
I don't know how often he practiced, but so that kind of scared me off. But
you can make your own.
so it's totally manual, isn't it? It's just like a straight key, really.
You can go back
Like
and
two
forth
straight
like
keys,
this.
but you go either direction.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why don't you have to worry?
He was talking about winning the contest.
Oh.
I don't have to worry.
Well,
I didn't write an entry.
you're doing it in proxy for
Proxy.
for Mike.
For Mike, yeah. We're gonna help
LQ.
Mike win. Oh, good.
Oh,
So
you can take Mike's place?
yeah. Well, Mike sent in he emailed in
Oh, okay.
a bogus story,
I did that one year.
but he wasn't able to make it here in person.
Yeah, you're playing around, I know.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we've got some participants out in the ionosphere.
Possibly, but they probably will be, they won't be discovered for another couple of light
Well, they're
years.
lined up on top. You got three.
In the ionosphere?
Yeah.
No, they're in cyberspace.
Oh, is that different?
Is that the same as the ether?
Yeah.
Not in the
It's
ether.
between planets, right?
Okay, did we let in the third participant there?
Yes, Matthew.
Matthew?
Yep.
Oh, okay, I didn't get his call down.
Matthew, what's your call?
November 6th, Charles, Uniform, Quebec.
Golf uniform Quebec, okay.
Golf uniform.
Charlie.
Let's start over. November 6th.
Charlie, Uniform, Quebec.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Matthew.
Yeah. Hi, Chris.
He knew that.
We knew. We all knew that. All right. So, okay. So, who has a bogus story to tell?
I got one.
Okay. So we got Chris.
I've got one. Chris chained me into writing one.
Okay. We got Bob,
I don't know what to do with it.
and we got Mike.
I didn't do that.
Oh, that's mine.
Yeah, he didn't do anything. He's just reading it. Anybody else do a bogus story?
What about Steve?
Well, I did one today, but spent a couple hours on it, in fact. But I think it's better for a presentation on another meeting. It's a lot of interesting stuff, and
Well, if it's bogus, you got to wait till next. You got to wait a year.
Okay,
It's
well,
bogus in April.
I got you. Yeah, I don't think I got one, but I do have another meeting presentation that I think is pretty interesting.
Okay, so it's not really a bogus story.
It was going to have some lies in it that I was going to interject, but the factual information is so darn interesting. So it's
well, maybe we
yeah,
can take the lies out and use it for a presentation.
Oh yeah, I'll do that. But
on a different meeting.
I will. I've got all the information here. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, you got.
Yeah, just take out the bogus and
Yeah.
leave the rest.
Okay. No, not tonight though, huh?
What's that?
You want it tonight or another time?
Let's do it another time.
That sounds good.
Run out of time here.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, we'll do it not as a bogus story, but as a real presentation.
Yeah.
Okay.
It concerns Vibraplex, so everybody will love it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're all about Vibraplex.
Right.
Okay, so we have
Okay.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bogus stories in. All right. Well, we will start out with Chris's bogus story. Now, we still haven't figured out exactly how we're going to cyber vote here.
Well, can't you just do the raise your hand thing on the,
Well, how do you raise your hand?
oh, why?
Well, do you guys mind just saying who you think? Just saying who your vote is? Or do we have to be private? Is that a problem to anybody?
This is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I'll close my eyes.
Okay, because I mean, we're gonna do the paper thing, but you can't do that on the Zoom meeting. So,
Oh, that's right. Well, can't we, oh, yeah,
Yeah, no problem on my end.
how are you
Yeah.
gonna raise hands? There's 5 different. Well, we could do that.
After
Oh, the hand
story-
goes
We could do that. Okay, Phil has a good idea. Yeah, we'll just all raise hands. How's that?
Yeah, at the tail end.
On
after
Zoom
most
and
of this,
those of us that are here also, we'll call out each one and then raise their hands at the end
Bingo.
and
Oh,
see
there
who
you
gets
go.
the most hands raised. That'll work. Okay, first we have Chris. AI6U.
Oh, just released document, it appears that amateur radio equipment manufacturers are about ready to do away with a traditional S meter to go from S9 to S10. This has caused a huge debate on social media. While some hams see the higher signal report as a boost to further propagation, many are outraged by the only people that will have this will be the people with money to get new radios, and it'll be all, just a group ready to hear the big report, S10. Speaking on condition of anonymity, Hiroshi Yakamoto from Yaesu said that they wanted to do something truly innovative for a ham radio. After much discussion, the design team agreed an extra S unit was perfect, although one of the new engineers said he couldn't recall studying S meters in school at all. The debates are intense. Contractors are wondering if everybody is going to now say 510 or just those with the new radios. British and US ham are united in their opposition, complaining, yes, it's another example of metric being used to confuse everyone. That's my story.
Well, yeah, that could be very, have international implications there.
It does, yes.
I remember when they changed it from cycles to hertz.
Yeah.
A lot of us didn't like that back in 1968.
Yeah.
Well, you start going down that path, we could start using some other types of communication standards. We could, for example, use 10-4.
Whoa.
That needs to be stricken from the record.
Right.
Everyone disallow, take that out of your brain, like they do in court, You never heard it.
I just thought I'd follow down the line of thought.
I got a comment on that.
All right.
Okay, if S9 is 50 microvolts, what's S10?
It didn't say.
A Chevy pickup truck.
That is
Good
good.
one. That
Yeah.
is good.
You know what S10 is going to be? It's going to be what, 6 dB, right? Isn't that what it is? Yeah. So I'll tell you whatever 6 dB above 10 microvolts is.
About 50 microvolts.
50 microvolts, I meant, sorry.
Any more questions for Chris?
By the way, this is courtesy of VE7 NFR, just in case you're wondering if we're going to pirate this. So
I see. So if you can't write a book and sell it, forget
no, I
about
don't
it.
want to I want to give them credit.
Okay. All right.
I already made my money on, my famous DB spray. Which
Yeah, you're filthy rich from that one already, so it
Yeah.
really isn't fair to make any more money on us,
I got to do all you can, because you know how this stuff, it just doesn't last forever.
Right.
Speaking of that,
That was his
Who
DB
started it?
spray, for those that don't know.
yeah.
Go ahead and recap your DB spray,
Oh, DB spray is the
just
spray.
for those that haven't heard about it.
I'm trying to remember now, it's been a while. that's how long ago, it's been 4 years ago now, but DB spray is stuff that you can buy, if you can ever find it, it's very hard to find because it's been outlawed, because we don't want the Chinese and the Russians to get a hold of it, especially now. But you spray the stuff on your antenna, and I think if I remember right, wasn't it like 1 unit per spray, 1 S unit per spray? And the most you can do is 3 spray, because when you get above 10 dB, and the thing starts to self-oscillate and start catching on fire, it's very volatile. You have to be very careful. So somebody came out with a way to tame it, but that never got very far, because you can't find this stuff. It's not much good, is it? But
Well, I think the
if you never
stuff,
find it, get a hold of it. 'cause
the
it's
stuff
really
that they
worth
used to
watching.
water it down with for a while there is now not legal in California.
That's probably
think it's
it.
been
That's probably
banned, that
Prop
chemical, so.
65 now. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the other thing.
So you have to go to Reno to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hope you don't get stopped.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway,
Okay, Bob.
Okay, well, I have to preface a whole bunch of things.
Okay,
Yeah.
take your time.
So I was on the noontime net, and Chris was the net control operator. He said, "You are coming with a bogus story, aren't you?" "Oh yeah, I'll be there." So last night, my brother called me. He said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I said, "Oh, nothing, except I got a meeting tomorrow night." He says, "You're not going." I said, "Why?" He said, "Normrap Enterprises is selling all their stuff. They're closing. We're going to San Francisco to buy race car parts." I said, "Okay." So we get to Normrap Engineering, and what did I buy? I bought spools of Western Electric
That's where that came from.
wire that
Really?
he uses to hook up like instrument gauges on midget race cars and
Wow.
stuff like that. It's all old stuff. So I have a few of these things, and if anybody wants one, I paid $5 a piece for them. I'd be happy to sell it for $5, but if you give me a good sob story, I'll give you one. I've got a few more in my truck. So anyway,
Doesn't sound too bogus to me.
driving back from San Francisco, I wrote my bogus story.
yeah,
Ah.
did a good thing.
That was
didn't
still the
I?
preface.
That
But-
was the preface.
Did you buy any car parts?
No,
Oh.
Just the wire?
just the wire.
Just the wire.
I see, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so we've heard from Chris, but Chris received a call from the FCC that his neighbor was concerned with the RF exposure she was receiving at the house. And he informed the FCC, Chris informed the FCC
Since the operates 24/7.
that he completed his RF exposure calculations and there should be no problem. So the person from the FCC informed Chris that they would be over in 2 days to make measurements at his neighbor Karen's house. What to do? Well, Chris contacted Phil, who modeled Chris's antenna using Easy NEC, and there appeared to be a minor lobe towards Karen's. What to do? The solution became obvious. Reduce the lobe pointing towards Karen and do it before the FCC arrives.
Now you
So Phil decided, and he devised a plan where he would negatively charge a stream of water and spray it between the antenna and Karen's house.
yeah.
The only question that he had, should he run a wire through the hose
Oh,
or wrap it around the hose? So back to the computer. Wrapping appeared to be the best choice, so Phil wrapped a 50-foot hose with 250 feet. Guess what? I just discovered I had 250 feet of wire and replaced the antenna counterpoise with the wire wrapping that wrapped the hose. And so the hose was connected to an oscillating sprinkler, and it appeared to work. So it was time for the test, and it worked. The FCC came, there was no RF at Karen's. So Phil published his design in last month's QST, and the article was titled, RF Blocking Using a Shower Curtain instead of a service curtain.
Okay.
Very good.
Hey,
Well
Bob,
done.
I'll keep
Well
hearing tomorrow morning.
Has a nice personal touch.
Yeah.
Involves a couple of our members.
It brings up the question, what is the half-life on DB spray?
Ooh.
Uh-oh.
What's a DB break?
What's the
Everybody
half-life?
wants to know the half-life.
FCC's coming over in 2 days, are you out of luck or?
Not bad, Bob, not bad. Good.
Depends on where you use it.
It's a negative DB spray.
I think it's got something to do with the ozone that's absorbed by the
Oh.
spray.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
use it as I could do. If you use it in the Ukraine, it has a longer half-life,
Yeah.
especially around Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, those Russians are pretty smart. They're digging ditches around Chernobyl.
Boy, we talk about radiation.
Serves them right.
All right.
All right, who's next?
So it's Mike
I'll do
by
that.
proxy,
By proxy.
by Phil.
Okay.
Let's see if I
Take
can
it away.
do this justice. These are news flashes.
Yes.
News flash. San Bernardino Sun-Telegram, November 12, 1966.
I remember that. year.
10:31 p.m. Numerous neighbors in the greater Lyle Creek area were awakened and called to report bright lights from local small wildfires breaking out in the brush in and around Bonita Falls. U.S. Forestry Service and local Rialto Fire Department officials and emergency equipment were immediately called out to respond. After a thorough search of the area, it seems that the emergency personnel were not able to find any trace of any vegetation fire. It was deemed a false alarm. Art Garfunkel reporting. Next news flash, San Bernardino Sun-Telegram, February 29th, 1967, 10:57 p.m. Lila Frank, boy, somebody snuck that one in, longtime resident and owner of Scotty's Stores, a local supply of libation in the Lytle Creek drainage, calls in to report another outbreak of fires in the upper Bonita Falls area. He reports also that the fires are more widespread and appear in waves and seems to be extended westward toward the Mount Baldy Peak to the base to the peak ski area. Ontario and Pomona Fire Department respond. After a thorough search, they returned to base at 2:07 a.m., reporting that nothing was found, no fires, no burn scars, nothing. Newsflash. San Bernardino Sun-Telegram, March 8, 1967, 9 a.m., reports Dale Barrett, a 17-year-old senior at Eisenhower High School, responded to the newspaper article. An enthusiastic amateur astronomer, Eagle Scout, and buddied geologist stated he knows that mountainous area very well. Mr. Berard, having spent many hours searching the heavens above those transverse mountains with his 10-inch Schmidt case-grain telescope, theorized that he had the scientific answer. The colorful firelight lights were a combination of piezoelectric effects and Paleozoic quartz pegmatite, the San Andreas microseismic fault creep just to the north, and the Aurora Borealis. That sounds pretty technical, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
He noted and confirmed in a recent spike in solar activity, Pasadena, a recent spike in solar activity to back up his theory, his dad, Ben Franklin, no relation by the way, is a principal investigator at JPL in Pasadena who contributed to this research. Beat reporter Neil Simon, listen to this, reports the case being closed. Newsflash. San Bernardino Sun-Telegram, June 12, 1967, headline, strange fire-like lights reappear over Victorville. We got a Southern California guy here. And as far as Bakersfield, this appeared Saturday repeatedly around 11 a.m. or 11 to 3 a.m. Juveniles interviewed and detained, federal investigation pending. Reporters Simon and Garfunkel again followed the lead from multiple callers, but this time near Neely's Corner, just at the base of Mount San Antonio, Texas. 3 boys, all in their late teens, were found to be responsible for the unintended nuisance. It is reported that the boys, all electronics enthusiasts, had come from an abandoned freight car load of war surplus radio parts. The boys cobbled together a very high-powered radio transmitting receiving set. They were testing it out on an even more powerful radio event for Field Day, where hams operate outside their homes as mock emergency preparation event. Investigators ultimately determined the following. The transmitter the boys were operating was radiating well over 20 times the FCC legal power limit. Additionally, the light observed in the surrounding mountains and foothills was a direct result of each transmitter running 50 each surplus 866A mercury vapor rectum fire tubes. There aren't too many people around that know what those are.
Rectum fire or rectum fire?
Oh.
Your choice. Parabolic shielding panel in the open power supply actually focused and projected the glowing blue-purple light beam on the mountains as they keyed and modulated each transmission. The blue light, approximately 400 to 500 nanometers wavelength, activated the crystalline plagioclase and quartz in the towering granite rock outcrops and almost made them fluoresce, thereby making them appear like the mountain was on fire.
Wow.
The case was now solved. However, newsflash, reporters Simon and Garfunkel learned to play guitar, patented the use of 866A's on stage audio amplifiers for concerts, and paid the boys FCC legal fine with the royalties. The boys both recently retired from a profitable career working for Elon Musk.
Well done.
That was good. That was good. Well read also.
866A.
All right.
Good job.
Yeah.
Rectum fryers.
Get it homework
Rectum
on
fryers?
Wow.
that. There, that was effort.
That was very good.
All right.
That was very good. Thank you, Mike, if you watch this later. And thank you, Phil, for a great reading of it.
You
Great
did
reading.
good.
Okay, now we're ready for Steve, K6SF.
Nope, I have no bogus story tonight.
Oh, that's right. I need to cross you off the list, huh?
Yeah,
We talked
I'll make
about
up for
that.
it though with a serious
Yeah, this is
discussion.
not a serious night, yeah.
Right.
Although some of us are serious
Not
cases,
like
but,
weather. No, serious.
okay. So I guess I'm left.
Your turn.
All righty then. This is from yours truly, WB6UBK. And it's titled the EHR antenna. You know, you have E fields and H fields on the antenna.
Yeah. What's all
So obtaining a low angle of radiation from the antenna has been the goal of many a ham for decades. As we all know, that is a most difficult, if not impossible task on the lower HF bands as we strive to get that antenna to that mythical half wavelength height. Not too many people have 80-meter dipoles 100 feet in the air, 120 feet in the air, not to even mention 160 meters. I mean, that's just way out there. But there is good news. There's now a way to get that low angle of radiation with an antenna mounted just a few feet off the ground. Meet the EH rotary or EHR antenna. This antenna has a half-wave dipole mounted in a metal drum with a 5/8 wave long slot cut in the drum. The drum is rotated at a precise RPM to get the desired takeoff angle. Correct speed of the drum can be determined by experimentation or by using the spreadsheet provided by bogusantenna.com. Just enter the frequency, the desired distance, and whether it's line of sight or via the ionosphere, and the correct drum speed would be displayed on the spreadsheet. Well, as we know, the curvature of the Earth prevents us from just beaming a signal beyond the horizon. But with the ERH antenna, this is no longer a problem. With the correct RPM and the right slot placement, a negative takeoff angle can be obtained. So the signal will actually follow the curvature of the Earth. What this means is we can now work Japan on 2-meter simplex just like the flat Earth people do it. But there is one problem. This works fine for transmit, but what about receive? Well, the rotation of the drum must be reversed for receive. And with the speed approaching 87,000 RPM,
27.
it could take up an hour for the drum to slow down, stop, reverse, and get back up to speed for receive, because it needs to be in reverse for receive mode. So QSK operation is definitely out of the question. So the best approach is to have two EHR drums, one for the transmit rotating clockwise and the other rotating counterclockwise for receive. Now these antennas are commercially available, but the cost is yet to be determined. But just think of it, MUF will be a thing of the past. At this time, only the 2-meter version is available, but the 160-meter version should be ready to ship by February 31st of next year, or April 31st, the very latest.
Yeah.
Pre-orders are recommended. Check with bogusantenna.com/rip you off for the latest updates.
Yeah.
Can that be fed with an Alexanderson alternator for better performance?
Well, that's only if you use a variable speed motor for the drum rotation, and then that causes a lot of harmonic problems. So that would be out of the question in receive mode. You might be able to do that for transmit mode though.
But you need some
Gotcha.
emotional dampening.
Emotional dampening. Well, I have to check on that one.
That probably,
I'll have to Google that one.
that might be a term for service. Just check the bogusantenna.com.
Okay.
So what about you put DV spray on it? If you can ever find it.
Well,
You won't need it.
like I said, we can't really talk about that
Oh, that's right, yeah.
because that chemical has been banned in California.
Oh, that's right.
So you're gonna have to reformulate it, like
I
Scotch
went to
tape.
ham radio outlet.
What's
They
that?
I went to ham radio outlet and they didn't have any of the DV spray, but they sold me some of this DX oxide spray.
Well,
And it's working great. It's working great.
well, yeah. To get the good stuff, you have to have the secret handshake because they don't want to just sell it to anybody, since it is illegal now. So,
Gotcha.
you know, people that have tried the good stuff, they can't even talk about it. They're sworn to secrecy.
Well, you know, I use it all the time, but nobody knows it.
Okay, so since David did not do a bogus story, we're going to have him tally up the votes.
Okay,
Yeah, that's fair.
that sounds good.
Gotta do something.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, so David's going to call out each of the participants and
And you can't
show
vote
of
for your-
hands which one you think that is.
You can only vote once.
You can only vote once,
You
yeah.
can't vote for yourself.
I know that's hard. A couple of them are really good.
Yeah.
Back in third grade.
Well, this is California, but we can't vote early, vote often.
All right.
We don't do that here.
No,
Okay.
we're not at that fit.
So all those that would like to vote for Chris's AI6U bogus story, raise your hand. Okay, no hands seen.
Good.
Uh-oh, Chris.
Uh-oh.
All right.
That means I won't.
I think it was that illegal part of the chemical that knocked you out.
What could be?
It was a bit toxic.
It was a good story anyway.
The toxic story.
Okay, yeah.
All right, next in order, Bob's story, N6PGQ. Raise your hands if you vote for Bob's story. No, we're all holding
Looks
out.
tight so far.
I think so, huh? All right. Next up is read by Phil, Mike's story, K6LQ.
Long live rectum fryers.
I vacuum.
Okay, let me see what I've got
Whoa,
here.
we got,
1, 2,
whoa, we got two on
3,
the
4,
board
5,
here
6,
too.
7, 8, 9. Is that
And-
right?
Boy,
Yeah,
oh,
two on the
this is
screen.
Oh, 10.
Yeah.
Wait a minute here. 1, 2, 3,
That's
4,
unanimous.
5, 6, 7, 8,
You can't vote.
9, 10. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can vote.
You got them all.
I don't think you need to keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Game
10
over.
for that one.
All right. Well, Mike's going to win.
What about
You
John?
think?
Well, yeah, but in case
All
of
right.
recount
That's right.
is in order, we have
Lastly,
to go through the process.
Hanging chads.
Yes.
for
yes.
John's story, WB6UBK. Hands up.
Guess not.
We
we got one. We got
We got
one.
one vote.
Steve.
Hey.
All right.
Yep.
Oh, I'm
Yep.
sorry. It's anonymous. Sorry,
Yeah.
Steve.
Well,
Nice
let me
one,
add
John.
these up. Hold on a minute.
Yeah, just get out the calculator here.
Yeah, I got a calculator in my
So I think we can pretty much sure that Mike's gonna win.
I think so. And I think
I can't wait to see what he adds.
in large part by Phil's reading too.
I don't
Phil
think
just-
so.
Yes, that did help.
That
Yeah,
you get credit,
It was the
Phil.
dramatic
Yeah,
reading.
sure. But Mike is the winner. K6
So Phil,
LQ.
Yeah.
you're gonna share the trophy with him, Phil? How's that gonna work?
Not me.
Did you read it? Yeah.
Well, he can be. Nah,
Man.
there's only one winner.
Exactly.
But it was an
That's right.
excellent read you did on it.
Mike will be very
All
proud.
those,
He will.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the first- I mean,
And it was, yeah, unanimous vote.
Yeah, that never,
I don't think that's ever happened.
I don't think it ever has.
I think it did once.
Although I was gonna vote for Bob's,
Oh, Bob was good.
but then
They can only vote once, so I said, okay.
Mike's was just a
Well, why
little better.
didn't you?
Well, because Mike's was a little
Look at
better.
him, he's defeated.
Yeah, but he got $5 for a roll of wire.
Not
Yeah.
yet. Oh, he did, you got my
For
$5.
you,
right there.
Yeah.
So he's okay.
Go.
Okay, well, it's time for the cookies and coffee. Cookies
Now go for
generously provided by Mike, K6LQ.
Yay,
It
Mike.
just happens to be the winner,
It's,
Yes.
and that had nothing to do with the voting, the fact that he
That's
brought the
right.
cookies.
There's no favorite there.
Anybody for coffee?
Yes,
Yeah.
Decaf or regular?
Regular.
real stuff.
Wow.
You like strong or?
Strong.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
24
I'll take
AWG.
Strong
Here, hold
decaf.
these up to the camera.
F cross.
Show
wire.
everybody what they're missing.
I'll take
It
strong
says
decaf
3
if
pair,
that's
but I
an
can't
option.
figure out how they
Okay.
get 3.
Yeah.
Mike,
cookies.
What size is it?
Here, here.
I don't need
Make
it.
the rounds.
It's labeled.
Chris, do you want a cookie?
Oh, sure, I'll go with
Somebody-
you.
You can give him $5 or you can.
Somebody unwound it.
Give it.
Stole one.
Back again.
Stole one. It was
Okay.
It's the green wire they took,
They
right?
took a second out there. They took
Mm.
a long.
How do we get out of here?
We're good.
I'm gonna go find one of those cookies.
Oh, yeah, great cookies.
I'm bringing them to you.
Ooh,
Don't shut it out.
You take it straight up or do you pollute it?
I don't touch, I don't put anything in my.
Straight up.
Okay. You too?
I'm gonna put 2 cookies here just to the left of
Oh,
your
okay, thanks.
Mm.
little dealio here.
Yeah, thank you.
Ooh, those are good.
Well, those are all good stories.
Yeah, they are. Never had a bad one yet.
No, we haven't
Want
really.
1 or 2?
I'll take another one, thank you.
Hey,
Oh,
John,
thank you.
Yeah,
do we wanna do show and tell while we're
Yes,
having our
yeah.
break?
you can go ahead and start that now, yeah.
What one?
How long is your presentation gonna last?
About 20 minutes.
Ah.
Hmm.
Yeah, you go ahead and start show and tell,
Hey,
that's
it's only
fine.
8 o'clock now, we're not even 8 yet, so we're doing good.
We're doing really good.
All right. In this month's April QST, there's
Now,
a
you're gonna have to
potato.
go over by the camera there. You can see, you can't see your,
Where is the
On
camera?
your way?
over here.
There.
You talking to me?
Yeah. There's a article about a potato-powered transmitter. And the issue here is very low voltage, very low current. So my buddy Hiroki, who's the author of that story, needed a 20-meter, very low energy consuming receiver. So I worked together with another buddy of mine, and we put together a potato-powered receiver that draws 1.5 volts, 4 milliamp with a VXO, and I put that board together for him. You can pass that around.
Yeah, I want to put it up here though.
What's the sensitivity?
See, tell me when it shows good, you guys.
Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Yep, that's good.
Is that good?
Minus 80 dBm. Not bad.
Tilt it a little bit so they get a,
Tilted?
yeah, view of the components. There you go.
Well, here's another one. This is
like?
actually
Oh,
a design from Northern California
You want real
QRP
coffee or
Club.
decaf? Regular? You like it
It's
strong?
a permeability tuned receiver. There's a brass screw inside of a McDonald's straw.
Oh my God.
And this is 40 meters. And this thing works like a charm.
Is NorCal QRP still floating around?
You know, they're actually still around.
Really?
Well, they never had dues or a membership list.
Oh.
So, you know, they'll put out stuff. They put together events down at Pacifica.
What club is that?
NorCal QRP.
Oh, okay.
And then this one,
Let's see.
this is the tuna tin
Well, you know what?
that was in
Not the real
QST.
stuff or the decaf?
Real stuff.
I think that's, Phil.
That's what you wanted, right?
No, Phil
But
wanted.
Phil's busy, so you get it.
Oh, okay.
This is the tuna tin that was in QST. I think it was around November, December. But it uses a little SI 5351 oscillator, a little tiny Arduino Nano, got a liquid crystal display. You set the frequency thusly, TR switch, an antenna and
Sometimes
receiver.
nobody wants coffee. Yeah.
little relay that switches between it. Those are boards that were done in our club.
I don't think I'm ever not going to coffee.
I got all kinds of stuff. The tuna tin. And then this one is the QRP Lab, the Mini QCX.
That's a fun deal. I love the
It's,
20 meter version of that one.
I'm sorry?
How about the 20 meter version of that one?
This
It's
is
fun. It's
20.
real fun to build. Yeah.
This is 20. I had the big one, I did as 40, and then this is the 20. And works remarkably well. I get about 3.8 watts out of it.
Wow. Is that with a potato or using a 9-volt
That's
battery?
using a real bat ray. And then this is kind of my favorite. When we did the tuna tin build, we wanted to see how much power was coming out of it. Well, small watt meters are hard to get your hands on, and they're notoriously poor resolution because they always use a diode.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, you're trying to bias the diode. Well, I put this together. I use a pair of analog devices, AD8307 logarithmic amplifiers. And I used 2 current transformers and 1 voltage transformer, little torids. And this thing will measure down to 1/10 of a milliwatt, up to 11 watts, and it's highly accurate.
QRP watt meter.
Actually, I sent an article to QST, they're gonna publish
I
that.
was just gonna ask whether, it's something that's published or.
No, I designed it,
Uh-huh.
and Hiroki knows one of the editors at AWRL. And the editor asked me if I'd submit an article about it. And I did, and they accepted it.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Do you know when it's coming out?
I don't know what it was.
Okay. Zero parts.
That's pretty fascinating,
I love that.
pretty stable.
Permeability, oh yeah,
Oh,
it's like anything else, it's an
Oh,
LC
yeah,
network.
extraordinary.
The permeability tube
Oh, my
with
gosh.
McDonald's straw, don't you love it?
oh, wow.
So you have to manually switch this from transmit to receive?
No, it's full breaking.
Okay, so it's a push the top.
It actually has a function
Just
with
coffee,
whisper,
Chris.
I think.
Oh, okay.
Gotta be careful.
Look at it.
Right here.
Mhm.
Got it?
Oh, yeah,
Yep, there you go.
like 4 milliamps. You have to use a crystal headphone, otherwise the headphone draws more power.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested.
Wipes
in
out
that.
the battery, yeah.
That's a trike, it's a full color LCD.
What is it
One of
display?
those, I'm sorry,
What is it display?
frequency. Dial in your frequency. Again, it was in USB.
There you go,
Towards the
John.
tail end of,
Thanks, sir.
Pretty good,
Now, who else wants coffee?
pretty good cookies, Chris, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I'll take some.
If you
What's
only
that?
had-
oh, you didn't get to see that?
Oh, Phil didn't get his
I
yet.
didn't get mine yet,
All right.
I'm too busy talking. Isn't
Well,
that cool?
Back in the old days,
It's all surface mount too.
they
Wow.
had a pilot lamp, like a 47 volt.
Right,
And they would take a DC bias through that, measure the current, and then they would light up that light bulb with RF to get the same brilliance. More brilliance. That's how they measured QRP way back.
wow.
well, if you won't light a 47 light bulb, you're in big trouble, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So is
That's
was that with a
encrypted.
tube or a transistor? Ralph, was that with a tube or a transistor?
That was with a pilot lamp.
No, the
No, with
transmitter.
the oscillator.
Oh, it was a 6V6 or a 6L6 or.
Was it?
Well, I don't know what the transmitter was.
Oh,
It
okay.
was probably a tube type, a transmitter.
That was just a standard way of testing it, huh?
It was a way you got around the fact that you didn't have a watt meter that would measure,
Nobody had a watt meter back then.
right. So
That's,
Oh, now they're two, for sure, no doubt.
the low brilliance of the
Riverside
lamps
on the spy
was
radios,
the,
and that's what they use for.
linear,
Yeah, right.
ability to measure power.
yes.
Hey, Dave, when we do the.
Some young hams don't
Yes.
realize that there's,
Let me
nobody had a
take your
watt
place,
meter
but
back
no
then.
one
Yeah,
knows a
yeah,
mouse is
absolutely.
Maybe
a
a few
pointer.
people that
So
work for
you got your
engineering
mouse
firm or
and you got
something
your,
had access to one, but
it
otherwise,
should come right up.
So you were going,
DC input.
you were going
Maybe-
for a
maybe
certain
military
brilliance?
had them.
Or
Yeah,
some-
yeah.
Certain luminescence of a bulb?
Yeah, well, we used to use a 60-watt bulb too for dummy load.
Right.
How about a 100-watt bulb?
For a novice transmitter, that's,
Headroom.
you used a 100-watt.
QRO, Chris.
You know what you were talking about?
Chris always-
It's actually a fairly
Always
common
is
approach,
a one-upper.
but automatically.
Well, I believe
So I had a
Reference
60 at 100. What can I
You
tell
have a
you?
reference lamp and a cadmium disulfide photoelectric cell.
Oh.
And then you use another source of
There you
energy,
go, Phil.
rather than that incandescent lamp. Well,
How about you, Ralph?
Out of 81 you got, what do you got?
We have decaf and we have,
oh, that's real man coffee.
low,
I like
medium,
that.
Real man
strong
coffee,
coffee.
yeah.
I'll have decaf then.
Decaf? Okay.
That was actually fairly standard practice. In fact, Hewlett Packard, with their audio analyzers, they used two lamps. One was a reference lamp and the other one was actually energy coming out of the oscillator.
Well,
They
that,
use that to determine distortion
how do you do that?
and all kinds of stuff.
All right, well, do we want to get started with the presentations?
If you're ready.
Yeah.
Well, is everybody, you haven't done your, did you do your,
Oh, yeah.
show and tell?
I got a show and tell.
Yeah.
I picked up this new paddle. It's got a magnetic base to it. It's for soda operations, although it is heavy.
That's the idea.
And I've not even used it yet.
Wait, That's a heavy
It's
panel?
a
What's it like?
Bengali,
I was just gonna say, it looks like.
Bengali Adventure. I did the reviews on it and I thought, I need one of those.
Yeah.
So do you hold it with one hand and key with the other? Or do you strap
Well,
it
you're
to your
supposed,
leg?
you're
or
supposed to have a, like a. what do you call
50-pound
it?
table that.
Yeah,
Well, there
you,
isn't much-
you pack in like a 25-pound slab of steel.
Yeah.
Did that come with it, or was it at?
Yeah, I had to order that.
Yeah,
That's
right.
being shipped, but you
Okay.
know,
You want
supply
That'd be
chain
great when
issues.
you're
It
going
can't
up
be
the
stainless. There's a
mountainside.
magnet has
You
to
know,
stick to it,
but
right?
that paddle sticks to it.
These things are so gorgeous, Bengali notes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Pretty stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah.
You need someone to leg clamp.
yeah. And I also got the KX2 adapter. So if I wanted just to use the paddle on the KX2 itself, I can do that, but
It just goes in the screw holes.
it does, yeah.
With the correct one plug.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be enough.
What's
You
it
know,
thing?
we need more, we got plenty more.
What's it called?
That's
Did you ask for coffee?
Bengali Adventure.
The Adventure.
The Adventure paddle.
You don't get a coffee.
It's a mini paddle.
Yeah,
Can't eat donuts.
Yeah, you don't have a choice there.
Water's good.
Oh, okay.
I could drink that.
it's better if you add whiskey to it.
Well, yeah.
You can't resist.
I gotta find my way home.
Yeah.
That could be a challenge.
I got it before 15 years ago.
I'll put that up there on the camera.
So we're gonna go down to,
Have you tested how powerful?
I
it
haven't
is?
used- I haven't used it yet.
Saturday for that first.
Well, you tried to stick it to something and.
Did you want a drink, David?
This is nothing.
My buddy
This is
Dennis is
the
coming
the
by my
paddle.
house at
Oh.
3:30 Saturday
That's coming
morning.
over.
Yeah.
That's
good.
okay.
That looks really nice.
So,
That looks great.
If you have a phone, camera in your phone, give me a call if there's any old Apple computers there.
All right.
Oh, O2E.
I'll try to remember that.
what else?
What are you looking at?
O2C.
All right, now I'm gonna set this
what
up
Apple
for presentation. I'm gonna share the screen
And twos and early Macs,
and I'm gonna go to here
20th century Mac,
and
20th anniversary.
Start
Mac.
from the beginning.
we're gonna go ahead and hit start. Whoops. Okay,
Want another cookie?
Phil, you are dialed in
Yeah.
here.
Chris,
Yeah, sure.
another cookie?
Steal your chair.
Yeah.
Okay, here you go.
All right.
Broken, not working Mac.
Okay.
Just wondered, I had like.
Oh, good.
You didn't want a drink.
I had a glass of water.
Sure.
Sure you do.
So at this year's Pacificon at the antenna seminar, this guy, Tom Schiller, was talking about various topics. He only had like 200 slides for his 1-hour presentation. In any event, he showed a thing called this ZR special antenna. This is a page out of his book. And if you go one step further, this is what this antenna looks like. It's 6 feet tall. There's a 20, a 15, and a 10. And if I go backwards, and I think I can do that here.
Use the arrow keys
Oops,
on the keypad.
no, I'm going the wrong way. No, wrong way, wrong way, wrong way.
Yeah, right down here, Phil. These keys right here. You should be able to. Here, click on this. Just click on that. Yeah. You got me.
Page up. Page up. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. In any event, this antenna, he says in here, I've got to get this out of there. It says, performs as well as a full-size rotatable reference dipole at 35 feet. It's 6 feet tall, and he had it hooked on a trailer hitch on the back of his car. So
What frequency is this again?
20, 15, and 10.
Okay.
And here's what this antenna looks like. I want to get all this off it. This antenna's got these rings. It's got a hairpin match. And he said it took him months to figure out how to get all 3 of those bands working at once.
A lot of interaction, yeah.
So anyway, I sent him a note and I said, I think that's fascinating. I'd like to put together something like this, but I'd like to use just PVC to build a little form and wire elements, because it'd be really handy for like summits on the air, field day, something really easily transportable.
Yeah.
Especially if it performs as well as you talked about. And that's the prototype. He lives in Kingman, Arizona, and this is nothing but desert out here.
Right.
So he puts that together, and he does a reverse beacon network scan, and look at all the reports he got. You'll note he sends at 30 words a minute. I don't. He even got a report from Germany with that thing sitting right on the desert floor,
Really?
running 90 watts.
No kidding.
So
that was 14 megahertz, 20 meters?
yeah. So in any event, to build this thing, you need 3 links of 3/4 inch cheap sprinkler pipe, 1 length of 1 inch schedule 40, some reducers, these weird looking 5-way fittings, and I'll show you about that. I use nylon cable clamps just so it's easy to route the wire through instead of drilling a hole through the pipe. You need a coax connector, you need a common mode choke, some wire to make the elements, a little bit of 14 bare copper to make the hairpin match, and then I modified his design slightly so we can make life easier. And actually what I want to do, I want to show you something here, if I can go back. You see how he's got this coax slanted down? Note coax is lighted at 45 degrees, and he's got the balun up here, common mode choke. With these design antennas, you can't just run your coax straight down the line, because what you're going to find out is you're going to get an awful lot of common mode signal on the outside of the sheath of the coax. So he uses that method. So I wanted to come up with a different way of doing things. When you get these 5-way fittings, you can buy these at Lowe's, you can get them at Home Depot. I bought mine from Amazon, but with Lowe's and Home Depot, more often than not, they'll have to order them for you. And this is what those fittings look like. The 5-way looks like this. And then I took mine to make the 6-way, and I'll show you why in a second. I chuck it in the lathe and I bored out the bottom of it so you could run the pipe straight through. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Let me go back.
So if you don't have a lathe, can you buy a 6-way?
No, they don't make it a 6-way.
You could
You
probably
can do it with a hole saw.
drill a hole.
You see right here? That's where you need 6 ways. You got the 4, you got to go up, you got to go down. The 5-way is perfectly fine for the top one.
And bottom?
No, the bottom is whatever, you can use an umbrella stand or something for the bottom.
That's just a base, huh?
It's just a base.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, we talked about that, those fittings. Each of the arms, each of these arms, there's a 3/4 inch to 1 inch reducer. And then at these positions, you put those little grommets so that you can route the wire through them. It's fast and easy. And here's the element links. 20 meter, it's a 16-foot 7-inch piece of wire. 17 meters is 12-foot 4-inch.
Oh, what a full
50
length.
Yeah, and there's an upper and a lower, so you need double this. And here's what I did to decouple the feed line. I took the actual feed line and I stuck it in a piece of coax braid. I stole it off a piece of RG213.
Yeah.
And then here is the common mode choke going to where this feed is. And here's the hairpin. It's nothing more than, as I said, that's 4 turns of number 14, a little piece of plastic. And where you see this termination done, there's actually 2 shields. There's one from the coax inside of this, and then the overall sheath, and that ties it across the hairpin.
This is an impedance matching hairpin, is that what that's about?
Absolutely.
So what's the impedance?
I'm sorry?
What is you suppose the antenna to the impedance?
It's going to be low.
Yeah.
The only time you use a hairpin match is if the impedance of the antenna is low.
Really low.
So you use it matched to bring it up. And I'll actually show you an example of how I did that. So here's the SWR on 20 meters. 160 kilohertz, 2-to-1, 20 meters, and you can see that it's a real nice curve. And that on the Smith's chart, we go right through the middle. Not quite perfect, but but the SWR is 1.17 at the low point. That's not bad.
Very good.
On 17 meters, the bandwidth is 320 kilohertz. I don't think the band's that wide.
No, it's only 100.
15 meters, we've got 470 kilohertz of bandwidth.
That's the whole band.
So that's pretty easy. And then on 10 meters, I didn't spend a lot of time on it. I just picked a spot and I got an SWR of 1.03 to 1 at 28.75, but you'll easily get a megahertz at 10 meters. So that's pretty good, right? So
Yeah, what about 12? You should try that too.
I was just fiddling around.
Yeah.
But so let's see what happens.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but if you pull off of 50, headed east on Hazel, just as you crest the top of the hill, not quite the top of the hill, off to the right, there's a turnoff. It takes you up to a parking lot that overlooks Lake Natomas. Has anybody been up there?
Yeah. State Park.
That's not even a park. It's just a parking lot.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. It's just access to the trail.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went up there and I took my buddy stick and a tripod, and that's the buddy stick. And I took 100 foot of coax to where my car was. And then I took another 100 foot of coax and I set up that vertical open ring. So they're 200 feet apart. There's no interaction between those two antennas. And so,
It's a good test.
yeah, that's
Same like the coax. Yeah.
yeah. So completely separated. Let's see what happens. So here's the calls. Here's my call. 14 words a minute, by the way.
Nothing wrong with that.
Practically warp speed.
That's good.
As long as you didn't use a keyboard.
That's right.
I don't know anything about keyboards.
Okay.
Anyway, 200 feet apart. I was running a whopping 30 watts because I had this little tiny battery in my K3S, and I figured if I tried anything more than that, it'd go.
Okay.
So let's see what I got. Here's the results coming from Reverse Beacon Network. On the buddy stick, I got this guy, VE6WZ,
Okay.
33 dB over noise. That's signal to noise. This VE7CC was 10 dB signal to noise. But look at what happens when I use the vertical open ring. Same power, same location, same everything, except I've got all these reports. Oops, I didn't want to do that. So 1,428 miles with a 15 dB signal to noise ratio. NC7J 518 miles, K3PA 1,405 miles, W8 WWV 2,098 miles. This was in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
VE7CC 13 dB signal to noise 730 miles, VE6WZ 19 dB 965 miles.
Oh.
That's not bad.
No.
That antenna works pretty damn well, and it ends up a bundle about that big of plastic that you throw in your car, and a couple of twisted up pieces of wire. So I was asked by Giuseppe, KE8FT, if you could do it on 40 meters. And so I sketched out something, you can get these 20-foot crappie poles. So if you strap one of those to your fence post, right? And then you put an insulator 10 foot over here, and an insulator 10 foot over here, and then stick a piece of pipe 10 foot away from this, right in front of your crappie pole. You run your counterpoise from the base up to this insulator, and from that insulator over to this piece of pipe, and from that piece of pipe back over to this fence insulator. And then down here at the bottom, you need a little loading coil, because 20 feet's not going to get you the quarter wavelength, right? And then here's a little hairpin match right here, right? So that's what I did. I used one of my verticals. That's my loading coil. You can't see the hairpin in there. But anyhow, coming out of here, I went to this insulator, over to this piece of pipe, over to the fence. That's simple. 40 meter vertical open ring. And so then I put my little meter on there, and I measured at 7.04 megahertz, where I was going to run my test, what the meter read. It said I had a 25 ohm radiation resistant component and minus 111 ohms of capacitive reactance. The antenna's too short, which is exactly what you want, right?
Yeah.
And then is anybody here use SimSmith? This is the greatest thing on the planet. It's free. All that you do is you list your antenna the way it reads, and here's your generator, your transmitter. And you take this little gadget right here. You see this? It's a coil and a capacitor. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And you just take and you move that up and stick it in between, and it automatically calculates what value inductor and capacitor you need to match your antenna.
No kidding.
That fast.
It's like,
And it says you need 440 picofarads of capacitor and 3.075 microhenries of inductance, and that puts you right at SWR 1.00000 to 1.
how many turns is that?
Well, you have to calculate the turns on the inductor, which I'll do in a second. So anyhow,
Yeah.
that's what SimSmith told me, but I don't like capacitors because you have to find a high voltage capacitor. The tolerances are vague.
Yeah.
I like hairpins as long as the radiation resistance is low, and we've only got 25 ohms, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward. I cheated. I took out the capacitor, the inductor, and I put them back in. And I just scrolled with the thumb wheel on my mouse, and it told me I needed 1.936 microhenries of series inductance.
Mm-hmm.
And the hairpin had to be 1.164 microhenries of inductance. And so here's where you start. This is where the antenna was when I first measured it. And this pink thing, this is what happens when you put the inductance in there, the series inductance. And when you put the shunt inductance in, that's what brings it back to 1.0000 to 1. That's how hard that is. It's just that simple. So the radial length, if you do the math of where I ran that wire, it's 33 feet. The loading coil I had was 22 turns of 14. I've got a lathe, so I carved threads in a piece of PVC and so I can wrap my wire.
Right.
And I actually I used the tap at 15 turns, and that calculates to 1.91 microhenries. And then the hairpin is 7 turns, number 14. You just open air, you wind it and scrunch it in and out until you get a match. So there is the rig expert AA30, 7.040. I'm like 1.8 to 1.
Nice.
I didn't spend a lot of time at it. I just wanted to see how the thing would work, right? So here we go. Reverse beacon network, middle of the day. I think it was middle of the day. What's 0404 Zulu?
9 p.m.
Evening, yeah.
8 o'clock maybe?
Yeah. It's 9 o'clock here.
9 o'clock?
9 p.m.
What location, where did you do this test?
My backyard.
In the backyard.
In the backyard or where? Yeah, in the backyard. Yeah.
In the backyard. So anyhow, here's what we got.
So it should be in the evening.
So W2AXR in Ransom, New York, 2,208 miles, and he gave me a 16 dB signal to noise ratio.
Oh.
That's not bad.
You're using KX2?
No, I was using my K3.
Okay, so how much power is that?
I think I was running 90. I can't remember exactly.
Okay.
And then we had W7ZI, 2,430 miles. W7ZI, 17 dB signal to noise ratio.
Wow.
K9IMM, 1,659 miles in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
IMM, 16 dB signal to noise ratio.
Where's your radio? What direction is it pointing?
It's the radial.
The radio, yeah. They have
It's kind of there's one radial, and
okay.
it goes from the ground up 10 feet, over 10 feet, and then it comes back to a post that's in front of the vertical element, and then back to the fence. There's a diagram that I did here. Anyway, and then the final one I listed here, K3PA1, 1,405 miles in Kansas, and K3PA1 gave me 11 dB signal to noise ratio.
Okay.
So for a handful of plastic pipe
Okay.
and 100 feet of antenna wire, You just cut the elements you want to use. You have to change the elements. Because I didn't spend enough time to figure out how to interlace those elements so they wouldn't interact with each other. But it's a portable thing. I mean, you're going out in the sticks. It only takes 3 minutes to change bands. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was pretty cool, and that is the end of my show.
This is no BS, right?
This is No BS Saturday. Ugh!
All right.
Escape will get you out of there.
All right, let's see.
That works pretty
Your
well.
screen is share, stop share. Now we put us back
Still got
here.
everybody, good.
Yay.
If you want to build that antenna on our N6NA website, there's a link to all the files on how to put that thing together.
Wow.
List material, all that stuff that you just saw,
Okay.
plus a little more. Like I said, it's dirt cheap.
Yeah, nothing too technical there.
3 pieces of cheap.
Coax is the
Sprinkler
most
pipe,
expensive part of it.
Like the 1-inch schedule 40.
So let me go back to that real quick. I want to ask a question. The diagram, am I sharing this yet? Here. What's the deal? Oh, here, share. Okay, so if you go back to start the slideshow, start from the first slide. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go back here. So this is where you got the idea to start with.
Well, I got the idea from, if you go back 2 more pages.
Go back?
Back
Yeah.
one more. That's where I got the idea.
Oh, wait. Right there.
Right there.
That article.
This book is called The Array of Light.
Oh, yeah,
Ah.
that's the guy that used to run the Ray Solution.
Okay, so that's
Exactly,
where,
that's the guy, and he was showing this example of different types of antennas.
right. And
He was doing county chasing, I don't know what the name of that contest is, where you drive all over the different counties in the state. And that's what he was using. He had a KW rig in the car on a generator he drove out.
Oh,
Using that antenna.
so the power rating
Working
on
on
something
power.
like this, 100 watts?
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
I would suspect you could probably push it to 500 without batting an eye.
Yeah. Okay, and then as you went in here, this was the
This is where he produced an example of what I was talking about. A PVC frame with wire elements. He just whipped that together and sent me the note. Said, I tried this, Phil, it works good, here's the results, have fun.
and the wire is on the outside. Whoops.
Yes.
How did I do that now?
Well, for 20 meters, it's on the outside. But
Right.
The
And
inside.
that's what I wanted to get to, is the difference between this 20
That's why I
meters.
showed the spacing of where I put those little cable clamps,
Yeah.
Okay.
because that's what accommodates that length of wire.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Now, the way that antenna works, and I'm going to show you this. This is the vertical dipole from here to here, which is only 4 feet. That's the vertical dipole.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of this stuff up here is actually inductive loading.
Mm-hmm.
So all bands, it's a 4 foot tall vertical.
That's it.
Yeah.
And then the inductive loading, what they is the open circuit ring. The open ring. Because you can walk in here, there's no wire hanging here. That's why he calls it open, and of course it's the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it matter how far off the ground the bottom piece is?
It's 4 feet. Yeah.
It does matter.
You need about 4 feet works
Okay.
pretty well.
And then as you went into the construction of the 40 meter, that was based on this other design, right? In your
That
backyard.
was based on some cockamamie scheme that came to my mind.
This is it here, right? This
Yeah,
is
a
your-
guy asked me if you could do it on 40 meters, and I thought, well, why not?
Yeah.
Right.
And so, like I said, everybody's got a fence, right?
Sure.
And the neighbors, you know,
Not everybody, but most people do in
yeah,
California.
most
Yeah, most people.
So
are.
anyway, you know, anything around 20 feet will work. You just tape a piece of wire to it, that's your element.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is your counterpoise.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, it's remarkable. It's a great solution for small yards as well.
And nobody can see in your yard.
No one would-
HOA,
Yeah,
It'll be great for that.
Yeah,
this
4
is-
feet off the ground.
I mean, for that kind of.
Although my EH rotary,
Oh, that is
I only have to be
bad,
2
yeah.
feet off the ground.
Yeah.
But then, of course, you do have the
well, I'm just saying,
diameter of the barrel.
I should have consulted with you first.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was waiting for you.
So, and that 40-meter antenna worked remarkably well, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
What's the diameter of a 160 barrel?
So,
Well,
how
let's
you gonna do
see.
that wire you got for.
Takes a lot of steel.
Isn't that when you got the,
200
the train, fuel tanker and turned it on in or something
Yeah.
like that?
And
Something
Phil,
like that.
this is your
240
application
feet.
of the drawing that you showed
Yeah,
previous,
right.
right? Yeah,
I just used what I had because I
Right.
wanted to see how it would work.
right.
Right.
And boy, did it work.
Oh, man, good.
It almost looks like it's wire for vines to
Yeah.
grow.
Well, you're seeing a lot of stuff there that's really not.
Oh, this isn't tied to the whole system. Okay.
Imagination.
Yeah, the way this works is, this is the box where I had the loading coil,
Mm-hmm.
and this is the ground connection. So I went up to the insulator. From the insulator, I went over to this vertical piece of PVC. From
Yes.
this vertical piece of PVC.
Yep.
I went over to another insulator on the fence.
Yeah, over here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
So is that omnidirectional?
It's a vertical.
Oh, okay, I thought with the counterpoises,
Well,
Going in
if
one
the counterpoint
direction,
was
maybe.
great, it probably would be.
maybe it favored one direction or the other.
Activity, maybe.
Who knows?
And that's what.
Everything I talked to was east. Of course, I live in the
Yeah, you
west.
can't tell, yeah.
Fascinating.
Well, you know, if you can try that out with a.
It's dirt cheap. And the
I'll
matching
say.
thing, you guys have got to play with SimSmith. It makes it so easy.
Yeah, they're like keeping their John's antenna.
In fact, I put together a little kit that I was gonna bring to one of the meetings one time, where I actually built some mock-up of antennas, just an LRC, an inductor, a capacitor, and a resistor in series. Because an antenna you can model is just those three things. But I set the frequencies of these little antennas
Mm-hmm.
off a little bit, or maybe even a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea was, take your antenna analyzer, and I said, I want you to tune this antenna for X frequency. So you plug that frequency into your antenna analyzer, and you measure it. Those two numbers that I showed you, the R number and the X number,
Mm-hmm.
and you take those two numbers and you plug them into SimSmith. And it said, okay, you need this much inductance, this much capacitance. And then I had made some boards that you can plug capacitors and inductors into. They're all put together. And you just grab the right ones, plug them in, measure it again. Lo and behold, it's resonant. How did that happen? It's the same thing that happens with your antenna tuning. It's exactly the same
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Didn't
But
you
you
do that,
can-
show that a couple of years ago here?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I did, but we never did the demo. The idea was I could take you individually
Right.
That's
and work
right,
with you,
yeah.
let you sample it.
Yeah.
Because once you work with it, you've discovered this is the easiest thing I've ever seen in my life. And you know, everybody's scared to death of the Smith chart.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Right.
Frightened.
Oh, that's good.
It's just a graphical thing, you know, it's just
It
a
is,
silly picture.
Plotting the data.
But this calculates it for you. You don't have to do anything. Plug the numbers in.
Yeah.
Read them off the meter, plug them in, put it together,
Mm-hmm.
and it works.
You gotta like that.
Very good.
Now I gotta get motivated to experiment.
It'll take you 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
5 minutes, huh?
Great
5 minutes.
presentation,
Yeah.
really.
What were the fittings you used on the PVC for the different bands? There was a
The
slide you had
five-way
that had
and
the
six-way.
different bands at different lengths. But you had done something to the PVC, I wasn't sure what it was.
What I did is, you don't have to do anything to PVC.
Yeah.
You just want to strap that wire around the perimeter of the PVC.
Mhm.
And the easiest way to do it, drill a hole through the PVC.
Right.
Poke
Run the wire through.
That's a pain in the ass.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah, where you got a little tiny 1/8 hole and you're trying to poke this piece of wire through.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
idea
yeah,
is
it's
they would
what you
change
do.
bands.
Well, that's the hard
But I
part.
took these little nylon cable clamps, and I pop riveted them to the arms.
Oh,
And you could poke that wire through those grommets, just like that. You tie it off with a piece of string, you're done.
So they're wire ties that you can.
No.
Not wire ties.
No. You take a piece of wire, you put a lug on one end so it'll go on, I've got a little stud sticking out. Put the nut over the lug and route the wire through the grommets, because I got it set up for the 20-meter element, the 17-meter element, the 15-meter element, and the 10.
Okay.
Whichever one you're using, they're all in a row. So you just poke the wire through those grommets till you get to the end, and there's a piece of string hanging off the end of the piece of wire, and you tie it off on the final one, you're done.
Okay.
You can change bands in.
I guess I don't understand. How'd you attach the grommets to these?
30
without
foot
the
hot
quarter
ribbon.
Okay.
Which does drill a hole, but I don't have to try and poke a wire through that hole.
Okay, I see.
It's poking a wire through the hole, and if you make the hole bigger, then the pipe
Plastic
breaks.
roots things and then.
Yeah, no, I get
Or
it.
it just gives you a groove to put it in
That's exactly what it is.
instead of threading it through a hole.
Yeah,
That makes
you
sense.
throw it through a big old
So it's
grommet.
quicker, yeah.
A lot easier.
Yeah.
Quick change.
So go to the N6NA website, and you can get the details
Everything's there.
Right, there, we'll get down.
for how to build these.
So when you do the YouTube thing, do you write any notes in there, David?
No, we don't do any notes yet.
A lot of folks do.
Yeah, we're looking for,
That's complicated, I know.
to do that, you had to refer all that.
Yeah.
That would be down the road, maybe maybe
We
2023.
got on Zoom
Yeah,
tonight, we
maybe
gotta
2030.
crawl before we
Like,
can
Yeah,
walk.
we can't even operate the Zoom.
February 31st, yeah.
Well, we did.
Got a late start.
With a little help, yeah.
With help from our friends.
Yeah.
We actually did have a run before you guys got here, believe it or not.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
We're all believers.
You have that recorded, don't you?
I have, the recordings of the ones we test ones?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're recorded,
Yeah, see?
but
Yeah.
Bob taught
Yeah,
a
listen,
lesson
last
on
month
the
meeting
setup.
got really good. They were good audio. so-
Because when we ran the first Zoom meeting in
Yeah.
January, was it January or February?
February.
February
February.
Zoom meeting,
Yeah, this is our third
you
one.
know, it was like you open the laptop off and you just try to hit the buttons and hope it worked, and it eventually worked.
Yeah.
And so I just figured I'll just do the same thing again. For some reason, that box
Shoot,
was
computer audio.
checked different. Never even knew about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I know about it. Yeah.
Well, how many of you guys are gonna build a VOR?
I am.
VY.
I've wanted to do antenna experiments for the last several years, last 3 years. And I've never done anything but the end-fed wire antenna in my backyard. And I have a buddy pole I've used on experimentation.
Yeah.
And I've used a hex beam at a QTH I had, and I also used a hex beam, the same hex beam at Folsom Lake at one of the parks there.
Yeah.
Ezra and I had a little field day that we did together, and we set that thing up there. And of course, that was fascinating because the Rangers came over. It was a Saturday morning, and we got there early, and they're like, "What are you guys doing?"
And you said?
And explained it to them, you know, and they were like, "Okay." But we set up in the middle of, you know, by the afternoon, the place is packed with you know, picnickers, right?
Did you tell them to keep people away so they wouldn't glow in the dark?
No.
Yeah, yeah.
Didn't
I
do
don't
that.
wanna go there.
But
There's
anyway.
no into that.
Yeah, but anyways,
You didn't have any
Conversation.
866 rectifiers laying around?
no,
Were you able to stay the night?
no, it was
Yeah,
it was
that's what
no,
I
no,
thought.
it was just a daytime.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find a place where you can, you know, run your
You-
24 hours.
Well, you have to go into federal lands, perhaps, maybe Boondock,
Maybe.
and you can
We
set up.
use the VFW hall on Fair Oaks, right off of Phoenix Park.
Yeah. Oh, for like field day. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was just like, hey, let's go meet at the park and set
Oh,
up
your
our
thing,
antennas.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, That's all that was.
Well, that antenna, when you play around with it a little, and if you need some help, let me know. I'm
Okay.
pleased to help you on that. You will not believe how easy it is to set up, how easy it is to take it down.
Well, you could pack that somewhere. It doesn't weigh much.
It's a
That's the
little
idea.
bundle of plastic.
That's the
pipe.
whole idea. Yeah.
So between that and a 25-pound paddle, you ought to be okay.
Yeah, that's an issue right there
It might throw everything off.
with that weight.
Yeah, that beats the, that whole heavy old barrel on my system there.
Yeah.
Of course, it would never claim to be portable.
You never told us how
Never.
much it weighed.
What about the key you made last year? No, that was definitely not portable. The one you had for the bogus story a couple years ago.
Which one was that?
Oh, that key you made?
I'm working on it.
Oh, that key. I
Yeah,
should,
foot key.
Oh.
yeah, I'll go get that. It's
Yeah, go
there
for
in the park.
can't.
Work of art.
I got that right in here.
I mean,
This is for 40, which is my noisiest band.
Yeah.
But I was using a piece of coax. I wanted to find some of that aluminum cable TV coax, hard sheet stuff.
Yeah.
And at the swap meet, I was looking around and I told the guy what I was looking for. He had a piece of, it's like 1.1 inch OD, solid copper coax, solid copper sheet, and the
Whoa.
interconductor looked like a piece of 1/4 inch copper tubing.
is it hard line?
It's hardline.
A couple of years ago, I was hard up for a bogus story. I couldn't come up with anything.
Yeah.
Thought about it, just came up blank.
Well, the
So
garage.
finally, I went out to the garage, picked up this junk off my floor, piece of uni strut, knob from knob and tube wiring, micro switch. And the bogus story was this one, the ARRL hand key, homebrew hand key, 5 years in a row. That was my bogus story. I was desperate. So, yep, there it is.
That would,
Got the spring down into there for the.
Did Hearst make that knife switch?
I don't know where, I got that at a Amfest, I saw it and couldn't turn it, couldn't
Yeah, that's the
couldn't
best
turn it
stuff.
down, yeah.
Looks pretty good.
So,
I like the handle there, the button.
yeah, that's knob and tube wiring,
so, yeah.
junction box cover, and uni strut.
You know, this switch reminds me of this very short story. I had a customer up in Ukiah that built plasma arc furnaces.
Wow.
The main power supply was 4,160 volts, three phase,
Wow.
400 amps.
Yee, that'll
If
burn
you do the
something.
math, that's 1 megawatt.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hope he was making some serious money with it.
They
Yeah,
made
big power bill.
titanium with it. Titanium. They extrude titanium ingot, about 6-8 inch ingot. And there's a torch that runs this weird pattern inside of this thing with 1 megawatt of power. And they use some kind of weird gas they inject.
Well, keep burning with
That's
that.
where the plug comes.
Yeah.
But they had an emergency disconnect switch, which
Oh.
looked exactly like that. It had a pneumatic
Wow.
cylinder that operated it.
Oh.
And when you hit that button, it'd throw an arc that you wouldn't believe. But I mean,
How big was the switch, the knife blade on the switch?
about the size of your table.
Oh, I think you like
About
a,
3 or 4 feet, huh?
yeah.
Huge.
I bet there's a lot of
Same
hose
hole.
coming out of that switch, huh?
What were they making, government stuff?
Well, originally, it was just for titanium.
Oh, titanium,
They're
yeah.
Build things out of
extruding
titanium?
What, are you
Or
cutting?
to make the.
They're making the actual ingot. You know, they mix all the stuff and they throw it in there in this crucible thing and they extrude this solid ingot out the bottom of this furnace.
Wow.
But then the was an Atomic Energy Commission. What's this, in the state of Washington, what's that big nuclear facility? Hanford was trying to find a way to dispose of some of this nuclear waste. And some guy came up with the idea, they had a furnace where they could actually put sand in the furnace to extrude glass.
Yeah.
And with the glass, you could throw in all this bad stuff because glass does not leach.
Really?
And so then they started using this for hazardous waste disposal. They mixed sand, and I don't know what else with the sand.
And it just burned it up?
And they throw the nuclear waste in with the sand, and out this extrusion comes this inert mass that cannot break down. Pretty clever.
Big piece of glass.
And then you bury it.
I'm sorry?
And then you bury it.
I don't know what they did. with
Well, that still doesn't shield the radiation, though.
Well,
It just
what it
contains
does
water.
is, there is, you know, all these other methods they have, they put that stuff in barrels and all that stuff. Well, the barrels deteriorate, you know.
So it's
it leaches
liquid.
into the water, but there's nothing to leach.
The waste is liquid, is that what you're saying?
Well, the leaching comes from the cement that's in the tanks that breaks down.
Right,
Right.
and you know, of course, it's in barrels and the barrels corrode, but this is straight glass. Glass does not leach.
So it's stable now. Now it's
It's
not
absolutely stable.
like the cement.
Pretty clever.
Then you got a real mess at Hanford.
Oh, I bet they do.
Yeah.
But if you go back to when that thing really got going, it was during the time of discovery of all that stuff and how those pieces fit together. But that's like you said, that switch reminded me of that monster. I couldn't believe the size of that thing.
Yeah.
Can you imagine an on-off switch, 400 amps at 4,160 volts, three-phase?
Man.
That's
Yeah.
that's
Big
a lot
surge.
of jazz. Big stuff.
Serious power.
Yeah.
Well, those furnaces were like 4 stories tall.
Oh my gosh.
A bit noisy.
Man. In fact, that plant in that little tiny town of Ukiah, PG&E did not have enough grid to power the furnace. So they had 2 sets of generators that they would use in parallel with PG&E to get enough power to run one of those furnaces. And those are big ass generators.
Isn't it cheaper just to buy the titanium from Russia?
Vladimir would be happy.
Oh, he would be, wouldn't he? Ooh.
That's where most of it comes from, right?
Go red.
I don't
So it's
have
titanium
a
kind?
clue. I know they did a lot of it.
Yeah.
Isn't there a fair amount in sub-Saharan Africa as well? Or am I just thinking wrong?
Yeah, he could have used, what that plant they had over here, Rancho Seco.
It didn't run long enough to make much.
Yeah, that's the
Never-
thing, and they
never
ran
seen
about it,
furnaces.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it started to run pretty good before they shut it down, but
Yeah.
I didn't like it.
Well, the people voted, and that was the vote. And frankly, that's the way it ought to work.
The guy who, I'm sure there's not just one person, but a person who was pretty involved in running that plant or overseeing it, now runs a winery in Amador County.
Ooh, does the wine glow in the dark?
Yeah.
Oh,
Make power, make wine.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, anybody that hasn't read page 40 in the current QST need a good laugh over a bogus story of their own there.
Oh, every April. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always, some Aprils I haven't found the bogus story in
Oh, it's in
QST.
there, you gotta read sometimes, you really hide it,
Yeah, sometimes it is.
you just gotta,
There's been years when I couldn't find it at all. But this one, all you gotta do is read the last paragraph. That exposes it. Well, special thanks to Mike.
thanks Mike.
If you hear this later, great story.
And thanks to Julie for the goodie.
Yep. No, I think actually Mike,
Mike, ma'am?
he took credit.
Oh,
I didn't watch him, but
well,
that's what he said.
okay,
So,
well, multi-talented,
yep.
and then they can write that good.
And thank you for the improvement on the.
Yep.
Now we have a speed key there.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's one key I haven't tried.
well, I did years ago. I mean, you
Did
can make
you?
your own, John, you know. with
Yeah,
a couple of- and a hacksaw
Oh yeah, a lot of
blade.
people do.
Yeah. Just get a hacksaw.
Hacksaw blade.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
So you have to take the paint off with it.
Yeah, he's got it sanded down there.
Now we need a receiver in that thing.
Well, if you do a good job on the story next year, you can put a receiver in it.
Well, John, who does it? Oh, yeah,
Mike.
Mike,
You
Mike's
know,
the receiver in it.
I think they need to add
I
potato
don't think I have too
power.
hard. I mean,
Like I said, in order to win the thing, you have to enter it.
That's right.
Oh!
No enter, no story.
just for a bug thing where I want to die.
So.
I know it is something.
If I'm alternating, then I'll do something.
Darn it.
See?
Oh,
My brain
well.
says, no, muscles, this is how you make that.
But yeah, that'd be a good,
Now you see what happens, Bob, when you write a bogus story? See? It's right one.
All right, well, there's still some cookies left if anybody wants another one.
Oh.
I just go on
Huh?
talk about field day.
Are you still recording?
Next week.
Or we shut off?
So I don't have like a dedicated.
I'll do KP here. Take my glass.
So, and then anything about bug roundup?
Good coffee, John.
Yeah, the bug roundup's coming
That's in May,
So.
in May.
next month.
May.
Yeah.
May what? Fifth?
Just for.
When's the
And-
bug roundup?
One of us is gonna have to learn how to do the chat room and all that.
Well, Bob's learning a little bit about how to do it.
We'll talk about the bug
You
roundup.
gonna do the chat room too?
What'd you win?
I talked to him.
Amazon.
Coming up.
Ah.
That's next month, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's after our meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you gonna do the chat room on the
You
the
can go in
bug
and chat.
roundup?
I don't know how you open it though. You can
I
go in.
can, I think we need to do some work on the back end, because right now it's kind of locked out.
Okay, oh, Bob, are you the guy working on that?
Somebody's gotta do it.
Yeah.
So by doing it, you mean just kind of being there, engaging
Okay,
people?
well,
Yeah, you gotta kind of open
all
it
I
up.
know is, it just magically happened before with
Yeah.
Mike, you know?
See, if you go there now, it say it's
So,
closed. Right.
yeah, so it was a chat room. You could spot yourself
Right,
with the bug roundup.
okay.
You've been in the bug roundup,
I
right?
have not.
Oh, okay.
No, he hasn't, no. But you know,
So you spot yourself, and then there's a chat room also
Uh-huh.
in there.
can I
You
make a
say,
raid?
check
with-
this out on 160 or whatever.
So
Yeah.
when you say, am I gonna do it, you mean, will I make sure that it's working, or?
Yeah, we need somebody to make it
we
work,
need to
so
test
that
Yeah, it doesn't need a
I'll
moderator
work
per
with
se.
Carol and we'll
So
make
that-
it work.
chat room will work.
You
I
gotta
have
make
no
sure-
idea how to make it work.
you
Well, I
gotta-
don't either, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Okay,
you got to 20.
because that's coming up next month,
Yeah.
and that's one of the major items in the club is that bug
Yeah.
roundup
Twice a year.
twice a year. Yeah,
And.
people from out of state.
Out of
have it,
state, around the world.
Members can sign up to work it as W6SFM for
Definitely.
an hour or two, whatever, and people sign up for
Sure.
2 hours,
first.
I think. That's
an
right.
hour, 2 hours, whatever.
Grab my flash.
Chris usually signs up for about
What is
8
it?
hours.
My flash.
Oh, yeah, your flash.
He
They
takes
call me
a,
empty slot.
he takes a
Let me,
bathroom break
Grab it here.
Yeah, I get.
after the
Well,
third
All I
hour.
really need to do is
Never
get a
forgot
remote
about
key, like JL does, and go to take a bathroom break and run to operate.
Here,
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
exit it out
Yeah.
here.
That's what I was thinking, my,
I can help with the website.
my rotary drum antenna wouldn't
Oh.
work too good for JL, because it
I have to
has
close the thing out.
to be QSK.
Oh, well, he's waiting for ours.
So it's on the page, but-
Well, like you said, you gotta have a one for transmit, one receive.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Where's
Yeah,
That's the way to do it.
yeah, that would solve a lot of
The
problems.
switch needs to be turned off.
But-
I just need to.
Let's find out where I put it
I'm
here.
assuming, get a look at.
Yeah.
I'll let you figure that out.
All right.
He's doing it.
I've used it as a user. but
Okay.
kind of Seeing it, say, oh, it's this kind of thing. but
Yeah.
I've never been administrator.
Well, can I?
All right,
Phil,
so-
I'll get it right after the meeting.
That's all, folks.
That's
I
it.
suspect it doesn't.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
It needs to be.
Right.
Yeah, anytime.
Things get.
Oh, by the way,
I'll
guys.
figure that one out, we'll find.
By the way, what?
Our
I still think
air
the
stuff
best
is
thing
doing
here
good, we're
is
getting good check-in, so that's good.
Good, good.
Isn't that cool?
49 last month,
Pretty fascinating.
so.
How's that compare with
Oh,
history?
we have 5 weeks this week too,
Signal
just
noise
your month,
checks
so.
on a
How are you doing? Do about 40?
It's about the same, huh?
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. It's actually gone up in the last 6 months.
And so I ran the 10 dB signal noise ratio test on HF, and found that it was.
Carol, did you want to add anything before we close out the meeting?
HF spectrum, what I missed.
Let's see.
6 meters,
0.1 microvolt?
0.1 or less.
No, that's okay. I'll get together with.
In comparison
With
with.
Bob.
Okay.
Okay, very good.
How you feeling, Carol? You were a little under the weather there.
Yeah, I had this shot there, that second booster. It laid me up for a while,
We get a kit on those.
but I'm all recovered from that right now.
You're on the upswing now,
Yeah, dealing with my dad now.
That's all I did. It was
That's
a
good.
one-time deal.
Do you think you might?
Okay, well, Carol, I'm gonna update you with what I know from, from the laptop.
No, we did it one time.
There's
We have a DIY
there are
radio
some
group
Google
here
Drive
that
documents
Okay.
that are being
And
delivered
when I came
into
up with this,
one of the
I had-
email addresses.
we had
So
200
what I'm gonna do is I'm
then
gonna,
we
if you
had-
don't mind, I'm gonna forward you some of these
we
emails
had
so
21
you're aware of
people
what is
building.
coming into the Gmail account as it relates to
It's all service.
the bug roundup.
Is it
Sure.
all my Gerber files
Okay.
everything available for?
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
I'll send those
Yeah,
out in
you-
the next few
you go
days.
To our DIY radio group,
Thank you.
all the files.
Those are all the
Send it
files.
to me too.
Yeah, the
so-
group
I'll- and I'll
file,
copy- yeah, I'll send it to
boards,
John and Chris as
software
well.
there.
No, that's-
Okay.
I'm in the group, but I've never.
All righty,
looked
well,
at the
we'll go
files.
ahead and shut everything down
So it's
for
on
this
surface
meeting.
mount, but you still gotta
Good night,
make the
Steve, you're there.
circuit
Okay,
board
good
in
night.
some way.
Well, yeah, you grab the Gerber file,
Yeah.
you send it